So KTM's 790 Adventure and Adventure R, which I'm standing next to here. Launched about a year ago, came out in Australia mid-2019. I had the opportunity to go over to the world launch of the thing, which is over in Morocco, and super great opportunity, obviously, not only to, meet all the design team, but sort of meet the, the Mark Comer, the Geordie Villadoms, the Chris Birch, the Cody Quinn, Toby Price, all those guys that, whose DNA appears in this bike because, it was developed in tandem with the KTM Rally and shares a lot of features with that. But at the same time, the design objective from KTM's point of view was it was created by the street department. So they had a 790 Duke, 790 Adventure and 790R, which all sort of share the same platform. So it was a fascinating insight and a really important new motorcycle for KTM in that segment that everybody knows is a huge bike battlefield at the moment, that mid-capacity or mid-weight travel enduro segment. Yeah, it was a great opportunity over there. Without going into too much detail, the big things that stood out for me for the bike were the fact that the super compact 799cc engine, allowed the machine to be really compact. It's got that teardrop or pear-shaped tank to keep the low centre of gravity, which allows very narrow ergos up top, much more sort of enduro-oriented, I suppose you'd say, than the average adventure bike. Beautiful motor, beautiful controls, beautiful quality of finish, but probably the standout feature and the thing that KTM, I guess, is hanging their hat on to say, why this is the most performance-oriented motorcycle in that category is a suspension. Halfway through the design process that they decided, wow, this WP Explore Fork and Shock has created such a quantum leap in the performance that they actually designed, they convinced the project leader that was something that was worth doing. Okay, it was going to translate into a greater purchase price, but that's what they decided to do. So hadn't really ridden the thing too much here in Australian conditions. So I was talking to Geoff Ballard, a mate of mine, and he has a bunch of his mates up here at the SMB, Secret Men's Business, on a Tuesday night where they bullshit and have a pizza and a red and a couple of bottles of red and then go for a ride the next day. These guys are doing a lot more adventure riding these days in and out around this beautiful countryside here and an incredible variety of terrain. So, when I realised that none of these guys who've got a variety of adventure machines, none of them actually had ridden this 790 Adventure R, then we thought it'd be a great opportunity to sort of put the cat amongst the pigeons, just to sort of, just to tag along, gate crash the ride, so to speak, and give each of those guys just an opportunity just to, get a sense of where this new 790 from KTM fits in. It's a really key model for KTM, but, where does it fit into that existing offerings in the class? What are the things that stand out about it? And, I've known these guys for a long time and they don't bullshit, so they'll call a spade a spade. So I'm really interested, to see what they'll say today after a long ride. We did do a couple of short loops just locally yesterday to bed the bike in and get a feel for it. So really looking forward to what today brings. I'm with a bunch of guys who ride a lot more adventure than I have, and we thought we'd do a little conversation by committee. I don't know who wants to go first. Geoff, you set up the track, mate. So you go first.
Okay, well, yeah, as you said before, it's trying to figure out what adventure is to each. Each one's got their different ideas on it. I'm probably not the norm, I suppose, but I like this is what we I guess call a mid-size bike. I kind of, people know I ride the 1200s a lot, so I like the challenge of the big ones, and we on really huge rides when you're going thousands of kilometres, you only know where you're going for the first 50 and you might challenge yourself there, but for me anyway, I try and stay around this area. I like the coastal stuff a lot more. I just like the challenge of getting the big bikes through. It's quite rewarding to then get on a road, and I actually like road riding quite a lot. So But ultimately, when you go these long distances, you end up doing a lot of granite or gravel roads as well. It's just the nature of getting somewhere. So yeah, the 790, it fits perfectly into that, let's call it a mid-size. For me, the standout was the 790 and the 700 Yamaha. We also rode a 701, is it? And that was a bit like a
LR,
a moto bike in comparison. It felt it wasn't the sort of bike that, you know, if we had to do a moto every 100 kilometres around a motocross track, I'd pick that one. It was very agile and pretty cool for what it is. It's got a big fuel range, but the seat would wear you out, I think, before the tank would run out. Yeah, look, the 790, it's good. Like it's got good power. Obviously, the suspension is pretty damn good, and so is the Yamaha. I was really impressed with the Yamaha suspension, and it's a bit softer, not a lot, but I think it's a bit softer. But yeah, if you're going to slam bigger stuff, and that's what you do for your adventure stuff, then it fits into that market pretty well. It's a pretty good bike, and yeah, I did notice the weight. It still felt a bit top heavy, but the weight, it feels good having the weight down there, and unlike the 700, you didn't seem to feel the fuel moving around. So it was pretty good. You know, it's a bike that you can obviously sit on pretty well for big trips. Not as much as I like to with the really big ones. There's a lot more torque, even though it's got a lot of power. But yeah, it was a very impressive bike.
The KTM's got enough power though to roost your mates. So that's important with mud.
Yeah.
As Hamo found out.
Yeah.
That was a bit swampy, a bit too close behind. But Hamo, it was interesting what GB was saying. You were saying the gnarlier it got, the better the 790 sort of felt for you.
Yeah, well, for me, riding a big bike, I give a lot more thought to exactly where I'm going all the time, as opposed to, and I've never really ridden many of the mid-size adventure bikes at all, so it was kind of very fresh for me, but there wasn't a lot of consideration to riding over anything. The bike felt very stable, sturdy, and obviously a 21-inch front wheel gives it, it rolls over a lot of other things that the bigger bike that I'm used to riding doesn't, but gives you a lot of confidence underneath you, and I like the power, and certainly the suspension, unquestionably for me, was very good.
But you also made sure you got onto it on the road on the way home, and you wanted to open it up and just feel what it like for a road comfort and performance.
Yeah, it was. It's certainly got some ponies, and it's a great fun bike to ride, and it feels a lot lighter than I'm normally used to riding. So I would ride it. It felt comfortable. The saddle was more comfortable than I thought. Certainly the 701, if you're riding a long distance, might bristle your bum up a bit, but other than that, I enjoyed it. It was a great bike to ride.
Pedro, you got a 790 Duke. You take it around the track, but you bought a Tenere. Why
Well,
the 790 Adventure on your radar?
I normally ride a 1200 GSA, and I have done for many years, since 2009, and 1100 before that. But as you get a bit older, they become a bit of a handful. Like I'm losing a bit of strength, so I chose a mid-range bike, and I ride the Yamaha, but I've never ridden the KTM, and I like the engines. The engines are great. They've got quite a bit of punch in it, but they're a bit bigger than the 700 itself. The 790, it's great on the dirt. Suspension is good. You can jump humps, not a problem. It lands well. And for me, adventuring is that part of it, for sure. You know, gnarly tracks and dirt roads, but joining those up, you have a lot of highway, and that means a lot to me, keeping the wind and everything off your chest, and rain and whatever, snow, especially if you come up around Hampton and you leave here in winter time. And a centre stand is a must for me for oiling the chain, taking the rear wheel off, or if you get a flat. But the good thing, I'm not sure whether the KTM's come out with tubeless. I know some of the 1090s do. That's a
They are. Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good a really good bit that I like about it. Cruise control, heated grips. It just adds to all the, adventure's not just the dirt bit, but, going to the dirt bit.
Well,
And getting in between there, you'll have rain, snow, freezing cold. As Geoff said, he got on the Yamaha, where's the heated grips? So, but it is a good package. It is a good package. I'm not sure about the long distance. As you get a bit older, you want a little bit more comfort. And the young blokes will like the suspension on that, and especially the engine. The engine's really responsive. It's good.